Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I want to honor the 60th anniversary. August 28th is the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, where hundreds of thousands of Americans gathered in Washington to challenge systemic racism and economic exploitation. I'd like to read some of the words of Congressman John Lewis, who was the youngest speaker at that march. He stated there, the time will come when we will not confine our marching to Washington. We will march through the South, through the heart of Dixie, the way Sherman did. We shall pursue our own scorched earth policy and burn Jim Crow to the ground nonviolently. We shall fragment the South into 1,000 pieces and put them back together in the image of democracy. We'll make the action of the past few months look petty. And I say to you, wake up, America. I think those words which Representative Lewis planned to say when he was a young man but were censored in his speech because some people were uncomfortable with them speak to the moment that we're in. Because the truth be told, white supremacy is not a mental health issue. It is about terrorism. And the shooting that happened in Jacksonville, Florida was not quote unquote racially motivated. It was racial terrorism. And until we acknowledge that fact, until we act on that fact, it will continue to happen. Jacksonville, Florida, Buffalo, New York, Charleston, South Carolina. How many acts of racial terror will it take for us to see that there is an issue, a crisis, an emergency of white supremacy in this nation that is the gravest threat that we face as a multiracial democracy? And so while those members want to honor mental health, there's people who we can't honor today. Their names are Angela Michelle Carr, age 52, killed in Jacksonville, Florida by a white supremacist who wrote a swastika on his AR-15. Their names are Arnold Joseph A.J. Lagour Jr., age 29, who was terrorized and murdered and killed by a man who wrote a swastika on his AR-15. Their names are Jarrell Deshaun Gallion, 19, who we can honor because a white supremacist wrote a swastika on our AR-15 and went into a Dollar General and took his life because of racial hatred. Let's be honest about what this is about. This is not mental health. Perhaps the mental health issue is doing nothing when you see tragedy happening. Perhaps the mental health issue is refusing to change the way you act and expecting different results. That is insanity. And so the way we honor them, I'm not going to call for a moment of silence because we've had too much silence in this body. I'm going to call for a moment of action. Let's protect these black lives. Let's protect the lives of 9-year-olds. Let's protect the lives of our people instead of making excuses and deflecting on other issues. Because if you are sane enough to know that you want to put a swastika on your gun and write a whole manifesto and punctuate your racial hatred, then we know it's not about mental health. But it's about a deeper sickness in America, a deeper moral malady, a deeper illness that is bone deep in this nation. It's the same hatred that led to Tennesseans being lynched in many of our counties. It's the same hatred that led black people to build this Capitol without pay and be abused and mistreated. It's the same hatred that many of us want to ban from being taught. And so it is just so frustrating to see members not even honor those who died, not even respect Black death enough to call it out for what it is and want to distract us and say thank you when all we're saying is we want our people to live and that black lives should matter more than this blind obedience to weapons of war terrorizing our community. And so on this March on Washington, I hope that that march comes to Tennessee. I hope that that march comes to Nashville. And I hope that it unsettles us enough to do something, to act as a voice of conscience in this time, to challenge the hatred of white supremacy, the white supremacist terrorism that has been so definitive and that was present at our Capitol last Monday when the Proud Boys were outside of this building. It's the same strand of white supremacy that we must challenge. We have an obligation to do better for all future generations.
Representative Capley.